Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to go over the different cards you can pull from the October 2023 Spotlight caches. Hopefully this helps you decide whether or not you want to spend your tokens or open your caches. And just a little disclaimer, I'm just going to be talking about my thoughts on the playability of these cards. If there's a favorite character you have, or if there's a card you've been waiting for, or if there's a variant that week you really want, go ahead and just go for that. But if you just want to pull based off of how playable the cards are, this video is for you. I'm going to be separating the cards into 3 different categories. The best one being the top and the bottom one being the worst, in my opinion. And hopefully this also helps you evaluate how valuable cards are in the future as well, outside of this video. So just to go over the 3 different types, I have support cards. This is going to be cards like, Zabu, an enabler. We have Sarah. It's essentially cards that enable multiple different strategies. These cards are really good in many different decks. They're always sort of present in the meta. You're going to get a lot of playability out of these. And we also have toolbox cards, which are also, in my mind, supporting cards. So we have Thanos, who's here this week, as well as, I think, the new Nico, just because of how much variety she brings. I'm going to put her in like a toolbox category. So that's this category, and I think these are going to be like the S and A tiers. Now we have archetype definers. This is really a personal preference. So like if you love discard, for example, right? Maybe cards like MODOK are going to be great for you. Another archetype definer is going to be something like, Darkhawk. And then similarly with Darkhawk, you also have a Rock Slide, right? These are cards that they're not really supporting cards that are enabling your strategy. They're essentially fitting one specific archetype, and that's going to be that rock strategy, the core Darkhawk, Rock Slide. That's all going to be archetypes. Same with like MODOK and Apocalypse, Hela. And then we have our tech options. So this is our Super Scrolls, right? Our Rogues, Electra even as a tech option. These are cards that are really specific to what you're seeing in the meta. So maybe they're really, really great. Like I had a lot of success against Quinjet playing Electra, but when Quinjet's not in the meta, Electra's not so good. Or maybe she's really good against sniping down a Nebula or Kitty Pryde. Essentially, you have to have a very specific card in mind with tech options. So with that being said, let's jump right into the tier list. I have the tier list on the left over here, and then here are the different spotlights. So let's go into week 1. Right off the bat, we have Thanos. Thanos is an amazing toolbox card. He's almost never bad. He's always playable in my mind. And he's also incredibly easy to balance because of how much text he has total with all the Infinity Stones. So he's either really, really good or playable in my mind. He's always kind of been, a card that if you like playing Thanos, you can have success with him. He just requires a lot of patience to learn how to play optimally. So if this is a card, I'm going to go ahead and put him in S tier. And I think, if this is a card you're interested in playing, you can get a lot of replayability out of him. Like you can sink a lot of hours into this guy, a lot of fun, a lot of different decks. Not a card you can easily get bored of either. Next, we have X23. She's definitely an archetype card. And in her specific archetype of Destroy, I think she's really, really good. So if you love Destroy, probably S tier. But as a general pickup, I'm going to put her in A tier. And then we have Echo. Echo is she's a tech card. You can kind of consider her like an enabler for on reveal. But even then, she's like a tech option against Cosmo. So she's definitely not a support card, definitely a tech option. And I don't even think she's that good of a tech option. Like, I just think Rogue and Enchantress do her job better. Because you have a lot more control on what ongoing effect you're going to remove. It's just the fact that she's a 1-drop is what makes her really strong. So I'm going to go ahead and put her in the lowest tier for now. So the first week is looking pretty strong. Like if you want these 2 cards, week 1's looking really good. And Echo is definitely not a bad card to have. she's just a tech option and not really one of the better ones. So next, week 2, we have Man Thing. Ongoing 1, 2, and 3 cost cards here have -2 power. So this is definitely a tech option, but I actually think he's pretty strong. It's just the kind of decks that he would fit in are a little bit wacky. So like he's really good, in that 4-5 area. So you can obviously play him in general like Zabu decks. And Zabu decks that Zabu's obviously 2 cost power. And then you run a like Nova Killmonger. So then you're only really hurting your Killmonger and your Zabu, and then you have a bunch of different 4-cost cards. Sarah maybe gets you a bunch too. I think overall, like this card, he seems more like a tech option though to me. Like he's definitely not like an archetype definer, and he's not really a support card. I think the card is good though. I think he's better than Echo. Like he has a lot more playability. I think finding a home for this deck is going to be a bit weird, and I think his play rate is definitely going to be determined from how popular other archetypes are. So yeah, he's a tech option. Like if like the old bounce decks come back that run a lot of cards, mostly in the 1, 2, and 3 cost range, I think cards like this would be really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in C tier. I think his like base stat line is fine. He can like really solo win a lane for you in certain decks. So I think he's better than Echo, but I still don't think he deserves to be any higher, being like kind of a tech option. Next we have Silver Samurai. So he's definitely an archetype card. Each player discards their lowest power card from their hand. So if you aren't familiar, this is really great with cards like Leader, if you can resurrect your leader later with something like a Ghost Rider. But overall, I don't think this card has a lot of support. There's not a lot of really low power cards you want to be getting rid of. Right now, like this card loves to discard their APOC. He's also kind of playable in Hela. I think that's where you see the Samurai Leader combo, as well as like Samurai can hit your Iron Man. And on top of that, he's a bit of disruption for your opponent's hand. But overall, I don't think he really has enough support. So for now, might move this later, but I'll go ahead and put him in the C tier, right above Man Thing. Next, we have Lady Deathstrike. She's not really like an archetype definer. She's definitely a tech option in my mind, but like a tech option that goes in Destroy decks. So if your Destroy deck and you just love playing Destroy, but you struggle against Wong, you struggle against Dracula, you struggle against Zabu, Quinjet, you can run Lady Deathstrike and she's destroying your stuff for you, in addition to being a very strong tech option. So she's like a really good conquest card too. So as a tech option, I think she's better than these. I think she's not good, but she's okay, For now, I think I'll just go ahead, put her in also in C tier. Like I think she's good, especially with the cards like Forge. But she's a tech card, so she has very narrow playability. So like if you love playing Destroy, maybe you can put her A or B, but for now I'll just leave her in C. Next we have Black Knight for week 3. After you discard a card, add the Ebony Blade to your hand with that card's power. So this is a 4 cost, if you weren't familiar. I think this is like a much worse Dracula. Because like ideally, you're discarding your Apocalypse, and you're going to be doing it earlier on the game because this is a 1-drop. So you're playing him in the earlier turn. So your APOC might be like 12 or 16. So it's not as like the 20 power Dracula. And Dracula is really good in like Jotunheim, and he can't be shanked. This, you play the Black Knight, and then you have to discard your Apocalypse, and then you have to play the Ebony Blade later. So he's really like 5 cost Dracula. That's worse. I think he is pretty fun. Definitely like an archetype card, but I don't think you need him. I think the decks are like fine without him anyway. Like if you had the Season Pass Dakin card, maybe just run that instead. I don't think this... Yeah, I mean like, I don't think it's that great. Like what if you Black Knight in 1 and then you want to play like Colleen next or something. He kind of messes up your Colleen play, so now you have a 4/3 blade in your hand if you discard something like Swarm. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in C tier. Might move him up later. Stature, it's kind of an archetype deck, you know, in the stats deck, Stature, right? It's kind of the OG with Black Bolt. I think she's always going to be a good card. She's not like a card like Zabu that's like a supporting card, but she's like so solid. I don't think you can ever really go wrong with like a Black Bolt Stature deck. They always kind of adapt to the meta, and you can just run whatever tech options you want in that deck. So I think for that reason, she's just a solid A card. Next we have MODOK. This is kind of like X23, you know. If you're playing discard, you need MODOK, so he's S tier, but he's only good in discard. So if you're only going to be playing discard, or if it's your favorite deck archetype, S tier for sure. It's really hard to play him without, or really hard to play discard without him. So yeah, if you're interested in discard, S tier. So for that reason, just with X23, A tier definitely like just unlocks and defines this archetype really well. Next we have you know, the last week really of October, not counting this week. Nico's a bit, you know, a bit strange. A lot going on here. Yeah, I don't think she's going to be as good as Thanos. I don't think these are even going to be the final versions of the cards. They could be, but maybe not. I think overall the spells have not that much synergy between them. Like doubling power, okay, +2 power, that's really good. Demon. These are all like really, really easy to use. Destroying your next card, like I don't know if you want to lean into this. It's just good on its own too because it's card draw. Like you can never really underestimate card draw. This is just Scarlet Witch. Again, that's like really good effect just to have in your deck. This is just adding something to your hand. This is moving, versatility. So, you know, I guess Thanos doesn't really have anything synergy across each other either, but he's like definitely an S tier pick. I think Nico's going to be similar. I'll go ahead and put her in S. I think even if she's not good on release, that there's just so many different spells that she'll be easy to change, easy to balance. She's a monster in Conquest. I just don't know with her like how easily your opponent can read what you're doing. Like I don't know if they can see your spell, so I think that's going to be something that will sort of change my opinion on her. But assuming they don't know what spell you have, I'm going to say she's S tier. But if they can see the spell, I still think she's a really good pickup just because she'll probably be able to fit in so many different deck archetypes. Even if she's not strong at first on release, I think in the long run, she'll be a good pickup. Next we have Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde is kind of a card that like it was pretty useless. They buffed it, and then she became like an absolute monster in bounce. And then she got nerfed, and then everyone freaked out, said she was absolutely useless and unplayable. And then people quickly realized that's not really true. Like the best deck in the game right now is Shuri Clone runs Kitty Pryde. She's pretty good in Sarah Control, which is not really popular right now, but just having a 1-drop to fill energy that you can play in that control deck with Killmonger. So, you know, Sarah Control can run Killmonger and then Nova and Kitty Pryde because you can play Killmonger then Kitty Pryde, and then Killmonger killing Nova is obviously a good thing. So I think people definitely overreacted with the Kitty Pryde nerf. I think she'll always be good. I'm going to go ahead and say she's like an A tier card. Next we have Phoenix Force. This is an archetype card, and not a good one right now. Like I think there are Phoenix Force decks that are good. Like I think it's like decent on ladder. Definitely not Conquest. I think they're just a little bit too telegraphed. It's really easy to play against. Like if they're snapping on you, you know, just retreat, and it's so easy to disrupt the deck that I don't really think as Phoenix Force is right now, it's like good enough to warrant its archetype. That things may change, you know, they might buff it when its spotlight comes around, but right now I don't think it's that great. So I'll just put it in C tier. I'm going to bump up these two. I think they're just the better two in this tier. I think these are all like, the C tier are all like, you know, solid average cards, right? Maybe there's a hot take in here, you know, let me know. But this is overall what I'd be prioritizing. Like if you don't have these 4 cards and you're interested in them, go ahead and pick them up. If you want a card you'll be playing for a long time, or just fit in a variety of decks, good support cards, or these 2 are toolbox. Yeah, I think this is great. So yeah, that's the final tier list. If you agree, disagree with anything, go ahead and let me know in the comments. If you want the tier list to do yourself, I'll go ahead and leave that in the description. You know, what caches are you guys going to be pulling for? Curious to know. Yeah, that's all. Good luck, have fun. Cheers.